everyone, I'm Earl Arms, and welcome to the September edition of Black Nouveau. As promised, on this edition, we'll talk with some of the Olympic athletes who attended the 25th anniversary of the Milwaukee Fellowship Open. We'll tell you about the upcoming award and celebration for Michael Schultz, one of Milwaukee's most acclaimed film and television directors. And we'll visit Byron Stripling, the Milwaukee Symphony's principal pops conductor, as he shares his musical talent with some local students. But we begin with another student, Silver Anderson from Golda Meir High School. Earlier this summer, she represented the Milwaukee Rep in the Next Narrative monologue competition in Harlem's famed Apollo Theater. She brought home the gold with the monologue Shame by Cheryl West.
I shouldn't have seen it. She should have closed the dang door. My teacher had just talked about it. How does shame show up in your life? Later at breakfast, I tell her, girl, you don't need so much cereal. She answers by throwing some at me. It's disgusting, watching her eat, shoveling sugar smacks in her mouth, barely pausing to breathe. Shuffle, 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 sugar, sugar, sugar. I wanted to yell, maybe even slap her. I saw you. I saw you this morning. As much as I try not to see you, I can't help but see you. We catch the bus, and as usual, I run ahead, hoping against hope that no one will see me with her. I mutter the usual to the bus driver, wait. She's coming. I sit way in the back, laughing with my friends, even joining in when they laugh at her. Maybe I laugh the loudest. Fourth period, I see her in the school hallway, her shirt button about to pop, wearing those stupid leggings that make her look like some nasty overstuffed sausage. I hear them all laughing, snickering, calling her names. Blubberbutt, Bugaboo, fat lard ass. She passes me. Her eyes plead and her mouth, greasy as always, whispers, I am your sister. Help me. And I pretend not to hear, walk past, trying not to see. I remember that moment so vividly when they pulled me out of class to tell me that she cut herself. Razor slashes up her whole arm and all the way down those sausage thighs. And they tell me how the janitor had to use a crowbar to open the stall door to pry her out. That night, racked with grief, our mother screams at me, why didn't you say something? And I stutter, trying to come up with an answer, and I think about what I tried to unsee. My sister in the bathroom that morning, stripped of all her clothes, trying to weigh herself on one leg. A hippopotamus trying to strike a ballerina pose. That's what I thought before. I thought, she's gonna break the scale. My mother looks at me, tears rolling down her face, a look I will never be able to unsee. I'm so ashamed of you.
And here she is now. Silver Anderson joins us now along with Zach Woods, the Milwaukee Rep's Associate Director of Education. Thank you both for joining us. Silver, you were talking about a funny story that came with winning, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us about that.
Yeah, so after we all finished our monologues, they had us go back up to the green room, and then we came back down, and they had like the checks that they were giving all of the winners like on the like table that was out there. And the person that went before me, she was standing in front of me because we were in order because theatrics and whatnot. But she saw my name on the first place one, and then she looked at me and she didn't tell me. She was just like, I'm gonna chill. And then we came in, we sat down, and then all of the people got their things, and then he got to the announcer got to the first place like check. And they were like this big, and he was trying to hold it to his chest, but I was also sitting towards the back, or like basically almost behind him. And I was like, I'm not gonna peek. I'm not gonna peek. I'm not gonna peek. I peeked, and I go, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Just pretend. Oh my God! Yeah, I was still like obviously very happy, but I had to like suppress it immediately and then go back to normal because it was. For sure, because my mother was also sitting in the audience because she was like, I'm gonna fly to New York to support you, and I was like, great. So I was like, I can't, I have to wait. I have to wait. It's gonna be fine. But yeah, that was my funny story. I just think it's funny every time because it's like.
That was pretty funny. But on a more serious note, just talking about the monologue, just talk about your motivation behind it and really how you got into acting.
Yeah. The next narrative, monologue, competition, very, very fun thing to say in words. They have a compendium too now, as we learned at the competition this year, with a bunch of monologues in them written by a bunch of different Black playwrights, which is also very cool and very awesome because we need new work, and we need new work by Black people because we like to say a lot of stuff and we like to tell stories too. I chose my piece from the first one because that's the one we had access to. This is my second year participating in the competition, and I won this year, which was really great. But I think I was between a couple, but I chose this one because I wanted to stretch myself as an actor. I'm not a mean person as my character was. So she was still learning and like growing as a human being in this piece, which is what we discovered that it was about. But I did want to stretch myself or find something that I don't normally do, which is like mean girl who's also grieving and going through something, so you can't just hate the character the whole time. Got to have a little bit of depth, a little bit of complexity. And then as far as acting goes, I've been acting since I was in, I want to say first or second grade. My first show, I think, was either The Wiz or Peggy the Pint-Sized Pirate, and I played a parrot named Polly. Yes, just great. It was on because, of course, Polly the parrot. What else would you call your parrot? But it was a great time. And then I've loved storytelling since I was very young. Like ever since I could start writing stories, I was like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna write a book now. So much fun. I haven't written one, but I have a lot of things in my brain, and I have a lot of docs that still need to get finished. But yeah, I really like acting. I was just in a production of Romeo and Juliet at First Stage, so it's a very fun time. I enjoy the theater quite a bit.
Clearly. But no, I enjoy it. Zach, though, this is a rigorous process for these students and these actors. So talk about that and how Silver got to be a winner in the process as a whole.
Yeah, it's a rigorous process, but it's also a really fun process and a rewarding process, right? So this competition was started by True Colors Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. And like Silver said, their goal was to sort of amplify the voices of contemporary Black playwrights. They commissioned a bunch of monologues into this compendium. So when students start in the program, they pick one of the monologues from this compendium. They begin in the fall with us. We offer a variety of free workshops. Students can drop in at Milwaukee Rep. That's going to begin this year in late October, Monday nights beginning the 20th, and we'll sort of alternate every other Monday. You can drop in between 4:30 and 6:30, work with professional teaching artists on picking a monologue and then getting some coaching. After that, students have to audition in a round of preliminaries, and then we go down to a round of semifinals, and ultimately that cohort gets some training that leads them up to the regional competition, where we pick 2 students that then go on to compete nationally in New York City at the Apollo Theater.
Nice, nice, nice. And you conquered all of that, Silver. Wow. So got to be proud of yourself. What's next for you?
I start school soon. We're doing, well, First Stage. I'm in First Stage is a young company, which is their like teen college prep acting program. And I'm in Rose of Treason, which is a new show because the Violins of Hope are doing a residency in the area. So I'm in that show as Professor Huber. I think that is what the character's name is. So you can catch me down there. Yeah, that's where you should find me because that'd be really fun and really cool.
I love it. You're going to go far. So Silver, thank you. Zach, thank you as well.
Of course, thank you.
It was the best of times. They were the best of friends. They made the best of memories.
Why don't you go somewhere?
Your place of mine.
Those cool days. Cooley High.
That's a clip from Cooley High, a film celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. The film was directed by Milwaukee native Michael Schultz, who has a long and distinguished career in film and television. His notable works include Car Wash, The Last Dragon, Which Way Is Up, Chicago Hope, The Practice, and Blackish. This weekend, Milwaukee Film will host several screenings of his films and will honor him with the first Michael Schultz Award. Robin Ehrlich, the Communications and Public Relations Coordinator from Milwaukee Film, joins us to discuss the celebration. Welcome to Black Nouveau.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So tell us about Michael Schultz and his career.
Yeah, so he's an extremely prolific filmmaker who happens to be from right here in Milwaukee. He went to Riverside High School. He attended Marquette University, so he's very familiar. He's a Milwaukee native, and he also made like an unbelievable amount of super influential films throughout his career, which is ongoing. He's 86 years old and he's still making films and directing television. And so we're just super excited that he's going to be coming to the Oriental Theater, and we get to honor him with a lot of tribute events and screenings of his work.
The Michael Schultz Award, what is that about?
Yeah, so the Michael Schultz Award is something that kind of came about because of a local filmmaker, Reuben Whitmore. He came to Milwaukee Film with this idea to honor Michael Schultz because he hasn't gotten his flowers necessarily. And our executive director, Susan Kearns, was like, that's an incredible idea. What can we do to make this happen? So together with a board of advisors, they concocted this idea for an annual award in his honor named the Michael Schultz Award. And it celebrates every year a luminary Black filmmaker. The first year, we decided why not give it to the man we named after the award after. So we're giving it to Michael Schultz. But the award will be ongoing, celebrating the work of incredible Black filmmakers, some Milwaukee-based, not always. We're going to see where the award takes us, but this is the first one.
What 3 films will you show this week?
Yeah, so tomorrow, Friday the 12th, we are going to be screening The Last Dragon, which is a film he made in 1985. It's become a cult classic, kind of a martial arts 80s film, super fun. And then on the 13th, this Saturday, we're screening Car Wash at 3 p.m., which is a super fun comedy, and Michael Schultz will be in attendance, and he'll do a nice Q&A after the screening. And then at 7:30 p.m. that same day, Saturday the 13th, we'll finish off with his film Cooley High, which is having its 50th anniversary. And preceding the screening, there will be an award ceremony which is open to the public. We'll give Michael Schultz his award, and there will be an extended Q&A before the screening of Cooley High.
What makes Cooley High such a classic?
Oh my gosh, it's just, I feel like it's grown to be a film that goes beyond just the name. I feel like it's a title that everyone's familiar with, and even people who aren't necessarily familiar with Michael Schultz, like I feel like Cooley High, it's done so much for the comedy genre in general, and then also creating space for Black filmmakers. And I believe it was the film that was the first film to be nominated for an award at Cannes Film Festival by an African-American filmmaker. So it was historic, influential, and it paved the way for a lot of filmmakers afterwards.
Now, I understand that, people may not know him by name, but he's had several stars in some of his films. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, he kind of helped launch the careers of Denzel Washington. He worked extensively with Richard Pryor, Samuel L. Jackson. A lot of these folks who have become, huge stars and names that we talk about all the time have Michael Schultz to thank for becoming who they are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how can people get tickets?
Yeah, so everything is available to find online at mkefilm.org. There's a whole page that lists all of the Michael Schultz events and screenings. That's mkefilm.org/Michael Schultz. We kept it easy. And you can go to the box office at the Oriental Theater or the Downer Theater. You can always get tickets in person there or online.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
At the Pettit Center in Milwaukee, where numerous Winter Olympians have trained, it was the Summer Olympians of track and field who were there to support the Milwaukee Fellows. They included 3-time gold medal winner Jackie Joyner-Kersee, one of the most decorated and revered Olympic athletes of all time.
I am one that believes that if you do the work, the money will come. But you cannot put self before anything.
And 2 United States medal winners from the 1968 Summer Olympics in Mexico City, Tommie Smith and John Carlos, both known for their Black Power salute during the medal ceremony. We had the privilege of sitting down with Smith and Carlos, who explained how their desire for equity and justice for Black people manifested on that Olympic podium. Smith, who was once known as the world's fastest man, found that educating younger generations could go beyond sharing words.
It became a reality to me that I am somebody. Now, how am I going to help those behind me who had the same feeling that I did about the educational process in big families and not having and not being able to talk or communicate? So that's fine. Mine bringing up was very elementary in my thought process. But you got to start before you can continue. And once you continue, you have to continue. You're continuing to help those behind you who had the same problem as you did. Because my problem, I could ascertain that it was like a lot of problems that young Black men like me had back in the day, but I had nobody out front for me to look up to and classify myself as somebody.
For Carlos, he says it came in a vision years before taking the podium.
The thing that was so deep, I was traumatized. And I went to dinner that night. About maybe 6 hours later, I go to dinner. My father said, "What's the matter, Johnny?" I said, "Daddy, I was in a movie." He said, "You was in a movie? What happened?" Because he said, "I'm traumatized." I explained to him what happened. My old man brought me into his rib cage. He said, "Son, nobody's gonna bother you. My job is to love you, feed you, house you, protect you, see you get a good education. Nobody's gonna bother you." And he reached over my head and said to my mother, said, "Boy, it look like God's got something special for this kid. We're gonna have to wait and see." I didn't think about that vision after the first 5 years after the vision. I think about it no more until I got to the victory stand. And if you look at my eyes, you can see I made a connection with something in my mind. It was that vision.
They shared how their actions cost them endorsements, money, even association with teammates and friends.
And a lot of folks was afraid to be around me because they might think that I might say the wrong thing, that some Black folks are gonna dislike me because I am using the word white. A lot of people don't want to use the word white. After Mexico City, my life almost stopped because people were afraid to approach me because they felt, and I was told this and I felt this, that if they associate with me, people will view them as negative as they viewed me. So I stayed by myself a lot. I went back to school, said, what else was I going to do? I lost the house that I was in, and so me and the wife had to kind of almost be on the streets, holding 11 world records of being a gold medalist, almost on the street, just to make it. And our young son, just to make it. First, it took me actually 2 years to figure out that it wasn't they was walking away because they didn't have love for me, or I had thinking on my collar or what have you. They were walking away for fear of reprisal. They saw what was being thrust upon Dr. Smith and I. So they didn't want that to happen to them and their families, so they walked. I can't knock them for wanting to protect their right, but yet and still I figured in time, if you endure, they're gonna be able to see the benefits of what we did. Yeah, you have to take some pain to make gain.
Carlos gave a deep perspective on how race relations compare nearly 60 years later.
In 1968, we put a picture up, Dr. Smith and I put a picture up, and the picture illustrated racism, bias, prejudice, segregation, the whole 9 yards, redlining, lack of education in the institutions that we couldn't get in, all of this wrapped up in one. So we put up a cameo to say, this is what we up against. But people didn't want to take the move. But see, now, at that time, it was like, is this real or is this Memorex? Modern day, the same thing is happening, but it's in your face. And you can touch it, you can feel it, it's real. When you see 4,800 people lose their jobs, when you see Black mayors or governors across the state being put down based on the color of their skin, when you see them trying to change the zones in the various states, like what they're doing in Texas. You know, it's a lot of things taking place right now and it's in people's face. And I tell white folks, you got good hearts. I'm not saying all white people had anything to do with, you know, with the prejudice that's going on or the slavery that took place back in time. I say, but at the same time, as a human being, you can't be there and say, I'm a white guy and I stand by you. Standing by me is fine, but today you have to be more than just standing by me. You have to open up your mouth and turn the volume and tell your brother, say, hey man, what you're doing is wrong. This thing called racism and bias and prejudice is wrong.
Each of the track and field legends had a message to the athletes of today who have access to social media and many more lucrative opportunities. Think of the young people.
Well, that's what I do. I chose teaching to do that, use different platforms from grammar school, which I started teaching, up to the four-year college, to reach back and help young folks, help the people. The big rings, the big watches, the great car, big cars, that's selfishness, and that's okay. But you gotta share that with the kids.
A seed would not grow if it's not watered. So we must continue to nurture our young people. And even though as they try to go in their own way, we must bring them back and be a reminder of the constant is God. And that you can do whatever you want to do, but when it's all said and done, if you're not true to your own self, then it'll be hard for you to be true to trying to have a real platform that's just superficial and temporarily versus a platform, again, that's longevity and lasts forever.
They have to realize, man, it's more important than them just having a name or a reputation because you can run the football or dribble the basketball or run track fast. Realize that you as public, when I say public, you as pronounced to the public as the President of the United States is. The President's not known no more around the world than LeBron James is. Same thing back at the time when Joe Louis was boxing. The President Eisenhower, he wasn't no more pronounced than Joe Louis was at the time. And look at the man in the mirror. Get in touch with themselves. I know who I am, but the question is, do you know who you are? And once you find out who you are, then you can move forward and do great things in your life.
That's Byron Striplin. He's the principal pops conductor for the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. Sometimes he interacts with local students.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Songs are real. That's a real song. And that's why children are so important. The songs are the things that elevate them. I'm trying to figure out what's the way that I can get into one of these kids that I see walking down this hall. What can I say to them? And they never heard of me, they don't know who I am. So the music has to be delivered into a way that's palatable to them. They can feel it in their body, in their soul, in their mind, in their spirit, that this is some good stuff. And maybe they'll leave with a few words from a song. Maybe it might say, the colors of the rainbow so pretty in the sky. Or maybe it will say, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And we realize through all this craziness that is going on in the world, but really, where's the wonder in it? And it's up to us to dig deep and find that wonder inside of us. Where is your joy? And the joy comes from the music. So when I'm talking to kids, that's my objective, to let the power of music shake them out of their misery and their pain. Who knows what's going on in the houses that people come from, these kids? But now they have a chance to see me. Maybe I look like them. If that's the case, and I'm on stage, maybe they'll go, I could be like that.
Along with empowering children, Byron also teaches them that music can be made by all people. Later this month, on the 26th to the 28th, he'll conduct an all-women show called Disco Divas. The purpose is to showcase the underappreciated talents many women have to offer the orchestra by mixing classical orchestra music with 1970s disco.
That music from that disco era is so popular with people, and I still remember Gloria Gaynor and you know, I Will Survive, all those songs like that. So that's really important music to that era, and I think it was also an era where women were empowered, letting us know, as they have continued to do, that we can do anything y'all can do. The best trumpet players now are like women. They are coming out of the woodwork because we've now allowed that, and they should have been out a long time ago. But empowerment of women, especially since I have 2 girls, I want them to see that show, to see these women take over that stage. Everything I do, there's an educational part to it. And so I want to serve women in that way, too, so that they can see those positive role models. Not only myself, but it's the women that are so important, too. Music is who I am, so there's no thought about be a doctor, make better money, be a lawyer, all those things. It's all about, like, what's in my heart, what's in my soul, what's in my spirit, and what will ultimately uplift people to make the world a better place. But you're doing it through music, and hopefully you don't have to preach about it, that they can feel the power through when you pick up an instrument, and my instrument's the trumpet, or when they hear you sing, or when they see you conduct. And we had a packed house full of just kids. And they were standing up and dancing by the end. That's why I live.
That's our program for this month. Remember to check us out across all of our social media platforms, and make sure you join us next month as we begin season number 34 of Black Nouveau. I'm Earl Arms. Have a great evening.